Welcome, boys, girls, and those of you who have the sense to know better, to Bella's classroom of bullshit. Today's topic, the spice tier list. This video is dedicated to Dot because every time I post an AMA on my Instagram, she says, spice tier list? I don't think she understood just the train of events that she set in motion. Because now, spice tier list. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. This is my subjective experience of these spices. If you disagree, that's fine. That's good even. If you think you can make me like one of these spices, cook me dinner, baby. That said, let's get into it. Starting at the bottom. D tier. Cumin. This is gonna upset some people right off the bat. Like I just said, this is subjective. A lot of people make a lot of good dishes with cumin. I have not had them. I have had Midwestern White Mother's chili. I don't like Midwestern White Mother's chili. Moving on. Allspice. Same deal. I just haven't had it in a lot of good cooking. That's not to say it doesn't exist. I have not had a lot of Caribbean cooking. If you want to give me a good jerk, give me a call. Really can't decide if I'm going to keep that joke in or not. Cardamom. Star anise. I don't like chai. I think that makes me a bad queer. I don't care. Call me a hater. C tier. These are not bad spices by any means, but they have niche applications, and I don't use them in my everyday cooking. Rosemary. Sage. Half of the Scarborough Fair quartet. These two are good for cooking meats, especially if you're like curing or smoking. I don't do a lot of those things because I don't have the apparatuses. So I don't use sage or rosemary a lot, but when I do, they are quite delightful. Clove. Vanilla. Nutmeg. I don't like chai. I don't really like pumpkin spice, so it doesn't do much for me. They're spices, alright. Coriander. Honestly, decent spice. Even a B tier spice. I have problems with it linguistically. The coriander cilantro divide is so confusing to me because in America, we call the seed of the plant coriander. It's all one thing, and that coriander is kind of confusing. Since I do have a linguistic distinction. When I hear it, if I see it in a recipe, I always it just annoys me. It gets on my nerves. Moving on. Iron oxide. Rust. Why is this on my seasoning tier list? Because, dear viewer, if I may step towards you for a moment, I have a question for you. Why don't we eat more rocks? Salt is a rock. Salt has the #1 position on this tier list. We do eat other rocks in smaller quantities. Sodium bicarbonate, baking soda. We eat that, so why not, huh? We need iron in our diet. If it's prepared food safe, why not? I'll tell you.
We do.
In Europe, it is commonly used as a red food dye. In America, the FDA just recently approved it as a food dye for pet food. We are making strides towards legalizing the use of rust in the culinary world, and I, for one, am happy to see this progress. Rust. Difficult to apply, but it could be cool. Cinnamon. Again, I'm not into chai. I don't need to say that again. Bay leaves. Bay leaves confuse me. I'm just gonna come straight out and say it. I do not understand bay leaves. They're in so many recipes, but I don't know what they taste like. I've never been able to detect a noticeable hint of bay leaf or an absence of it, and yet it seems to be all around me at all times. In every kitchen I've ever worked in every home kitchen I've ever cooked in, there's always bay leaves. I don't know what they do, but I use them too, because they're around. Moving on to B tier. These are solid spices that I use in regular rotation. Horseradish. It clears my sinuses and it clears my mind. Same thing with wasabi. Those two go hand in hand. Whenever I have a little bite of some fresh grated horseradish. Whenever I take a bite of fresh grated horseradish, my problems don't exist for a moment and everything is okay. And I come back down and then I do it again. It's like a drug, honestly. Anyway, oregano. Pizza pasta. Need I say more? Onion powder. I have complex feelings about this one. I prefer cooking with fresh onions, but obviously onion powder does have its application. It's good as a seasoning in a dip or a dressing. It's also good for making dry rubs, but if I want that true oniony flavor, I'm not going to onion powder for it. Parsley. Thyme. I think that these herbs are a little bit more versatile than sage and rosemary. Thyme, I like the aromatics. It makes it real yummy. And parsley is such a good plate dressing. The little green flakes look so cute. Black peppercorn. This is a hot take, folks. I think black pepper is highly overrated. There is absolutely no reason that black pepper should be the seasoning going hand in hand with salt. Black pepper? It's just kind of a weak contender for that coveted spot next to salt. It's not my pepper. Cayenne. Now here's a spice that knows how to be a spice. Cayenne pepper has the kick that you are looking for in a pepper. I'm looking at you, black pepper. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. White sesame. Sesame and I go back a long time. My very first solid food was a bagel. Through the course of my life, I've eaten hundreds, possibly thousands, of sesame bagels. And they mean so much to me. And also they're a cool plate dressing and some sesame oil is yummy. Black sesame. Same deal with white sesame, but a little bit cooler. Moving on now to A tier. Turmeric. It's pronounced turmeric. 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 It stains everything, everywhere, and I cannot stop using it. It is yummy, and it is so good for you. White pepper. Better than black pepper. That's not a hot take, it's just a fact. Paprika. This is what I am looking for in a pepper spice, right? It's smoky, it's warm, but it's not hot, and it has a sweetness to it. Ginger. Goated aromatic. It's amazing for making teas, stir fries, sauces, candy. Have you ever had ginger candy? Do yourself a favor, get some ginger candy. Red pepper. Again, this is what I'm looking for in a pepper spice. Red pepper flakes are my go-to in the kitchen when I want to add a little spice. Rounding out A tier is saffron. This would honestly be an S tier spice if not for the fact that I feel class shame every time I hold it in my hand. A gram of saffron costs like 16 bucks. An ounce? A zip of saffron goes for like $1.20. I get scared when I'm holding it. I'm like, I'm gonna ruin it just by looking at it. But it's delicious. A tier spice. Moving on to the cream of the crop, S tier. We got Sichuan peppercorn, rising above all of the other peppers on this list to become the king of pepper spices. If you don't know, you don't know. Get some chili crisp in your life right goddamn now. Mustard. Sweet, sweet mustard. Never in my life has mustard disappointed me. I've had it prepared 100 different ways. They're all uniquely amazing. I could wax poetic about each kind in an entirely separate video. Mustard tier list coming soon. But what do I have to say that can't be summed up in S tier? Garlic. If I could only cook with one aromatic for the rest of my life, you're looking at it. Garlic bread, rounding it out. You already know it. Number one, most important, most life-changing of all of the seasonings. Salt. Sodium chloride. NaCl. NaCl. Take a bow, you beautiful rock. Without you, humanity would have an entirely different relationship to food. This is a silly little shitpost video, but I seriously implore you, viewer, to look into the culinary history of salt. It's a great story, and one that I don't have time for today. But I thank you for watching. This has been Bella's tier list of the spices and seasonings, and I'll see you next time. For the mustard tier list, I guess.